The ollie, probably the most iconic skateboarding trick of all time. Not only does it look cool, it's really practical too. It can be used to jump up curbs, over obstacles, down stairs, and lots more. It's also really elusive and infamous for being tough to learn. I mean, if you don't know much about skating, it almost seems like it shouldn't be possible. You jump up off of the ground, bringing a skateboard that isn't attached to your feet up with you without grabbing it and while touching it only on top. But actually, the ollie is pretty easy to do. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to master the elusive ollie. So first, how exactly does an ollie work? Here's how it goes down. First, the skater smacks the tail of the board against the ground with their back foot. This causes the board to go almost vertical and bounce slightly off the ground where the tail hit. Next, the skater drags their foot up the length of the skateboard's grip tape while it's in the air, pushing the foot out in front once it reaches the upturned nose of the skateboard. This dragging and pushing motion gives the board lift and causes it to level out in the air. Then the skater and their board fall back toward the ground in perfect tandem, making it look like the board is attached to their feet. The flat ground version of the ollie was invented by Rodney Mullen sometime in the early 80s, and today it's the cornerstone of street skateboarding. Nearly every trick has some kind of variation on the ollie. And that's why it's one of the very first tricks new skaters should learn. Once you've gotten the hang of riding your skateboard and pushing, you're ready to start learning the ollie. The most natural thing to start thinking about is where you should put your feet to set up for the trick. They should look something like this, or at least they should if you ride left foot forward like me. This is called the regular stance. On the other hand, if you ride right foot forward, it should look more like this. This is the goofy stance. It's not just about where your feet are on the board though. It's also important to distribute your weight properly. Most of your back foot's weight should be on your big toe and the ball of your foot. Keep your weight off of your heel in the middle of your foot. Most of your front foot's weight should be on your toes and the ball of your foot, but with a little more emphasis on the pinky toe side of your foot. Keep your front foot's weight off of your heel and off of the arch of your foot. So lots of people, when they're first trying to learn how to ollie, they put their feet like this, with the back foot's toes hanging over the toe side edge of the skateboard. Make sure you don't do that. You want your back foot more towards the center of the tail. Here's me trying to ollie with my feet in this really awkward foot position. Here's my ollie with the proper foot positioning. And here's a mirrored clip of what it would look like if I were goofy-footed. I'll be including mirrored clips like this throughout the video, so if you're goofy, you'll be able to visualize it as if you were making the same movements I am. Even if you don't get much out of my explanations, just watching these slow motion clips and visualizing yourself doing the exact same thing can help you learn. Once you've got your foot set up and weight right, you can start trying to get off the ground. Ollies are all about timing. The first thing you'll want to do is bend down a little to load up your jump. Next, you'll rapidly straighten your legs and lift yourself upwards as you jump. This should be a really fast and explosive movement. This jump, getting your body started on an upward trajectory, should happen before you do any popping or sliding with your feet. If you were to do nothing with your feet, then this jumping motion would send your body up and leave your skateboard on the ground. But you don't want that. That split second just before the moment that your feet would leave your skateboard if you were just jumping is when you start to pop your tail. Since you've already jumped, popping your tail against the ground isn't actually how you get your body to come off of the ground, just the skateboard. You will already be suspended in midair when you pop the tail. It may not look like this is the case because the whole thing happens so fast that it looks like one fluid motion, but thinking about it this way can be really helpful. After you've popped your tail, it's time for your front foot to begin sliding up your grip tape to the board's nose to level it out in the air. Some YouTube ollie tutorials say that your sliding foot should be almost completely bent on its side. This isn't totally accurate. Your sliding foot does bend a little outward at the ankle, but it's really not much. I think that the reason so many say this is because when you do an ollie, it sort of feels like your ankle is bent more than it is, because it's sliding up a nearly vertical surface. That said, it does still help to try and keep your sliding ankle sort of loose and rubbery when ollieing. Let's look more in depth at the back foot. So here I am loading up to jump. At this point, I begin to send my weight upwards into the air. Now my weight is off the board before I pop it against the ground. Notice how my toes extend downwards towards the ground. I'm mainly using my calf and ankle muscles to pop the tail, not my whole leg. At this point, I've already used my upper leg muscles to give my body lift before I popped the tail. Notice again my foot positioning here. My foot is close to the center of the tail instead of out on the edge. My weight is mainly on my big toe and the ball of my foot. Now that I've popped my tail against the ground, it's time to begin sliding my front foot up the grip. But don't forget about the back foot. I have to lift my back leg up along with my front one, sucking my knees up to my chest to get my feet out of the way so the skateboard can rise up. Notice again in this clip how I drive the tail down hard and quick with my toes, using my calf and ankle muscles to do so. Now let's talk about the front foot and the knees. Your front foot should begin sliding up the grip tape around the same time that your tail smacks against the ground. You have to suck your front knee up a little earlier than you do your back knee. This creates a sort of seesaw motion, as you can see. Make sure that you're sucking your knees up towards your chest like this, or your skateboard won't come off the ground because your feet will be in the way. Once you reach the apex of your ollie, and your front foot meets the upturned nose of your board, you've done about half the work. Now you've got to push your front foot forward against the nose to level your board out in the air. Make sure that your back foot is up and out of the way. If you've done everything right up to that point, you should find yourself suspended in the air with your feet on your board. Let gravity do the rest. The hardest part is over. Keep your feet in position over the board and fall in tandem with it back to the ground, landing on top of it and rolling away smooth. I've done my best to break the ollie down into more easily digestible steps here, but keep in mind that it happens very quickly. In less than a second, a successful ollier will have completed all of the steps I just spent a whole 7 minutes explaining, and a good ollie will be one fluid motion. Don't get overwhelmed if you aren't able to do it right away. It takes most people a long time to get them down, but it's very rewarding to finally master it. Break it down into steps mentally in the way that I've described, and do your best to ingrain each step into your muscle memory as you go. If you're having trouble, consider trying them stationary in the grass or with your wheels in a crack. You can even use a low-hanging tree branch, clothesline pole, swing set, or something like that to hold on to, and help lift your body up to better understand the feeling of bringing the board up without the fear of falling down. If you found this helpful and want to learn more, be sure to like and subscribe. I plan on making many more trick tip videos. If you have any specific trick tip requests, feel free to shout them out in the comments, and if I can, I'll make a video covering that trick. Also, if you're having problems with the ollie that I didn't cover here, go ahead and throw your question in the comments and I'll do my best to provide you with feedback and skate support.